What's up guys? Today I'm going to be explaining about my post-day routine, about what and all exercise that I perform, including how many sets, how many reps. So let's get started. The first muscle group that I'm going to be targeting is chest, and the first compound movement that I choose is incline dumbbell chest press for your upper chest development. So after doing some dynamic stretches, we will move on to our first set, which is also a warm-up set, just to get familiar with the range of motion and to connect with the muscle that we are trying to work on. In this set, we will be performing around 10 to 12 reps, nice and slow, with the full stretch and full contraction at the top. Guys, after a warm-up set, we will move on to our first working set, where our aim is to perform 8 to 12 reps. Guys, you can set your bench angle in between 45 degree to 60 degree, but I prefer 60 degree because I feel my upper chest working a lot more when compared to 45 degree. When it comes to form, the key points that you guys have to follow is to keep your chest high, slight arc in your back, shoulder blades retracted, keep your elbows tucked in, don't flare your elbows, otherwise it puts more tension on your shoulder joints, which definitely leads to a lot of shoulder injury. So guys, we move on to our second working set. Weight has been increased because in the first working set we got 12 reps successfully. In the second working set, our target is going to be the same, 8 to 12 reps, keeping the form as tight and as clean as possible. Chest high, elbows tucked in, slight arc in the back, and shoulder blades retracted. Don't touch the dumbbells at the top or locking out your elbows, which definitely puts more tension on your triceps rather than on your chest. Now we move on to our third and final working set. The weight remains the same because we got 8 reps in the second set. Our target remains the same, 8 to 12 reps, and I make sure that I control the weight around 2 to 3 seconds as it goes down, and a second pause at the bottom to get that full stretch and a full contraction at the top, squeezing the chest as hard as possible. I'm making sure that I'm not touching the dumbbells or locking out my elbows. So guys, we are done with our first compound movement. Now we move on to our second compound movement, that is our flat dumbbell chest press for the mid as well as your lower chest also. So I'm not gonna be performing any warm-up sets over here. My chest is pretty warmed up with that first compound movement, and directly moving on to the working set. This is going to be my first working set. The target remains the same, 8 to 12 reps, keeping the form as tight and clean as possible. 3 seconds down, second pause at the bottom, and full contraction at the top without locking my elbows. So now we move on to our second working set. The weight is going to be the same because I got 10 reps in the first set, and in the second set the target is going to be the same, aiming around 8 to 12 reps, keeping the form as tight and as clean as possible. As you guys can see, I keep my elbows a little bit tucked in. I'm not flaring my elbows because it put a lot of tension on my shoulder joint and I don't feel my chest working on. So if I keep my elbows tucked in, I feel better contraction on my chest, and also I feel better mind muscle connection, and overall good on my shoulder joint as well. So keep your elbows tucked in, don't flare your elbows out, as you guys can see in the video. So guys, now we move on to our last set of the exercise, and I have increased the weight a little bit. The target is going to be the same, around 8 to 12 reps, but I got only 7 reps. Because of that, I will be performing a drop set. So guys, I have dropped the weight down to 40 pounds. It is around 20 to 30% drop. So I'll be doing an AMRAP, which means as much rep as possible. I got 10 reps in the drop set, the same thing, maintaining the form as clean as possible. I could have speeded up the video to make it even more short. I purposefully didn't do that because I wanted to keep it as raw as possible, and I forgot to mention the rest periods in between the sets that I took in first and second exercise. The rest I took in between the sets was around 2 to 2.5 minutes. Guys, we are done with the compound movements. Now we move on to the flies, or also known as isolation movement. The first flying movement is going to be low to high cable flies, where we will be targeting our upper chest. We need to grow our upper chest, guys, to get that 3D look on our chest, the 3-dimension look when you hit that side chest pose. Form is pretty simple, guys. Just set the cable height right below your arm length. Use D handles and always choose moderate weight so that you can get control of that weight and you can use your muscles to lift that weight. Because it is an isolation movement, we are trying to isolate that muscle. We are trying to isolate the upper chest. So we don't want to go heavy on this particular movement. If we go heavy, we start to lose our form, which messes up our mind muscle connection and which leads in using of our shoulders. That means you start to use your front delts more rather than your upper chest. Key points to be remembered while performing this exercise is foot stance, foot placement. Foot placement should be shoulder width apart. Next comes our arms. Elbows slightly bent, not too much bent. If we bend too much, we'll end up using our biceps. Slightly bent and chest up. Have to focus on keeping our shoulders rolled back. We should not keep our shoulders protracted. We have to retract our shoulder blades. Time under tension is the key, which means when you are controlling the weight, you have to control it around 2 to 3 seconds while going down and 1 second squeeze at the top. If you are not doing this, or you are just ripping out as fast as possible, you will not be able to target the muscle that you are trying to work on. So better control the weight, do the reps as slow as possible. Quality matters, not the quantity, not the amount of weight or not the amount of the repetition. So we'll move on to our next isolation movement, that is going to be high to low cable flies. Same, guys, 15 to 20 reps. We are here to target our middle and lower part of the chest, more on towards the lower part of the chest. You just have to make sure that the cable should be right above your head level, not more than that or not less than that, so that you will be able to target your lower chest and it does not put strain on your shoulder joint as well. Just go back as far as your mobility allows you to. Don't go back too far, otherwise you will end up squeezing your back. You will end up losing tension on your chest and you will start feeling some strain in your shoulder joints. So make sure that you are not pinching your shoulder blades back or shrugging your shoulders up. Keep your shoulders down, chest up, and just focus on mind muscle connection. Do the reps as slow as possible and the weight should be moderate. The mistake is most of the people stack half of the weight in this machine and do presses instead of flies, and they think that they are doing flies. So what you can do is go moderate weight, do flies around like 12 to 15 reps or more than that, and after that you finish off with some presses, so that we will able to use all the glycogen that is present in our chest. In isolation movement, I prefer to take rest in between 1 to 1.5 minutes. So in my future routines, I'll be doing chest and shoulders. Chest, I'll be doing 4 movements. So this is my last movement, and I guess this is my last set, and I'll be doing a drop set so that I use all the glycogen that is present in my chest. And for the shoulders, I'll be doing only two exercises. One is overhead press and one for side delts. Rear delt I'm going to be training during back day. In the drop set also, guys, maintain the form as tight as possible, and I prefer to do AMRAP, that means as much rep as possible. So this is the last and final set of the whole chest workout. Now we will move on to hitting shoulder. The first exercise will be overhead press, dumbbell overhead press, seated. I prefer to set my bench angle around 70 to 80 degree so that it puts less stress on my lower back, so that I will be able to more concentrate on my front delts. If we put bench to 90 degree, or if we use that bench which is made for the shoulder press, the short one, that puts a bit more tension on your lower back as well. So I rather prefer using adjustable bench so that I can adjust the bench up to my liking. One set is done. Now we move on to our first working set. I have increased the weight a little bit. Rep range is going to be in between 8 to 12 reps, and I'm focusing on the tempo, like 2 to 3 seconds negative and 1 second squeeze at the top. I'm not losing the tension by locking out the elbows. Not be locking out the elbows and banging the weights on top. Same applies to chest press also while you're performing in dumbbells. We got 8 reps in our first set. We will not be increasing the weight. We will move on to our second working set. I rather prefer choosing the same weight instead of going heavy, because I don't want to ruin my form. I don't want to ruin my technique. I want to keep my form as clean as possible. I got the same number of repetitions as I got in the first set, so I'll not be going heavy. Instead of that, I'll stick to the same weight itself. So we are done with the second set. Now we move on to the third set with the same weight. In this set I ended up getting 7 reps because of all the compound movement and isolation movement that I did for the chest. My shoulders were already fatigued in this set, and I took a drop set. After completing the 7 reps, I dropped the weight to 30 pounds. That is around like 20 to 30% drop. A small tip is that while doing any pressing movement, whether it is for chest or shoulder, keep your elbows a little bit towards inside. Rotate your elbows towards inside. In this drop set also, guys, I did an AMRAP, as much rep as possible. I ended up just getting around like 6 to 7 reps. Including drop sets into your workout or performing drop sets at the end of any exercise helps you to increase strength, increase intensity, also helps to put more volume into your workouts, and also good for your endurance also. So we move on to our second exercise, that is dumbbell side lateral. I personally do use dumbbells more than cables while performing this exercise, but cables are also good, dumbbells are also good. Both have their own pros and cons, but I do more in dumbbells. So when it comes to form, you guys have to keep in mind that you are lifting the weight, you are lifting the dumbbell using your elbows, not your hands. You are just using your hand as a hook to hold the dumbbell, but mainly you have to focus on using your elbows. Lift with your elbows, not with your hands, so that you won't end up getting pump in your biceps, getting pump in your forearms. If you lift with your elbows, you will get maximum tension on your side delts, and lift it diagonally, not towards your side. If you lift diagonally, as always, it removes the trap activation and puts more emphasis on your side delts. And performing partial reps are also known as half reps at the end of the set, to reach absolute failure. You can do some partial reps also, but make sure that you are not doing partial reps from the beginning of your set. Do it at the end of your set when you are not able to do full reps. You can do some partial reps to burn out, to use all the energy that is left in the side delts to get that good pump. And make sure that your form is on point. The sets is going to be 3 to 4 sets, or else you can also perform around 5 to 6 sets as you wish. And make sure that you perform drop sets at the end of your last working set, so you will be able to reach the absolute failure. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, share, comment and subscribe, and turn on the post notification for more contents like this, where I'll be uploading my entire script. And see you guys on the next one. Until then, take care. Don't skip the gym, don't skip your workouts. Until then, see you on the next one. Peace.